Hello. So I'll give a few minutes for people to come in. But welcome. Oh, everyone's so friendly. Hello, hello, hello. I see some faces that I know. Ooh, the enthusiasm is really pumping me up. Hi, Leslie. I feel like one of those Peloton instructors now. This is what their job must feel like. I might want to do this all the time. Hi, Susie. Uh, I know normally on Peloton, like there's only like 40 people so far, maybe a bit more. So normally on Peloton, it's like 15,000 people. Sweden, Europe. Welcome, Annika. I might just spend the whole hour doing this. All right, we'll give one more minute and then we will start. Malibu. Nice. Well, it's minus 30 where Megan is right now, so I'm sure it's not minus 30 there. Nigeria, wow. I've been to Lagos. Megan, where are you at?
I'm in Calgary, Alberta, and just to be clear, it's minus 30 Celsius. I'm not sure what that translates to in Fahrenheit, but yes, it's very cold here today.
Hello from Houston. Hi, Courtney.
I'm not sure if I win or I lose.
Yeah, I mean, we've got people from all over. I love it. All right, let's get started. We may have some stragglers come in, but we've got a busy agenda, and I want to make sure we tackle everything and leave time at the end for questions. So to give context, the actual presentation part is about 30 minutes, and then we've left 15 minutes for questions at the end. So if you do have any questions, please enter them into the chat, but we're going to address them at the end so that we can address everything and look for the most common questions as well. Because we may answer some of them as they come up. So let's get into today's topic. It seems like everybody is really excited for today's topic as well in this chat. So I'm thrilled by that. I think you're going to learn a lot, and we're going to touch some interesting and innovative things that you may not have thought about before, or maybe you've thought about but aren't quite sure how to activate on. So hopefully you leave with that knowledge today. So there's no dispute that creator marketing has become a hot topic, but we're going to discuss today how the majority of brands are only scratching the surface of what's possible for this medium and how you can further drive impact. So I want to start with introducing ourselves so that you know a little bit more about us. So my name's Ashley Risk, and I'm the head of business strategy at #Paid. I've spent the past decade leading and innovating at creator marketing companies, and I have strategized with hundreds of brands on how to achieve their business goals with influencer marketing.
And my name is Megan Bialis, and I'm the senior media manager here at #Paid. So I specialize in paid media and the measurement of creator marketing. I work with our clients to achieve their KPIs by creating and executing tailored campaigns for their ideal users.
And we're #Paid. And so before I get into today's topic, I think it's important to briefly tell you who we are and how we can speak on this subject. And if we go to our mission is to match the right creators with the right brands. And by doing this, we've grown a strong network of creators over the last 8 years. And I think what really sets us apart is that we have the unique benefit of offering a strong self-serve option as well as a managed marketplace. And on the managed side, we have a curated team of experts across media buying, strategy, and measurement and project management. And we've also heavily developed our software, which can allow clients to scale creator marketing internally. And by providing these two routes, we've enabled brands to scale creator marketing with confidence, regardless of the level of support that they need. And we're leading creator marketing. We've been featured and recommended in renowned publications and have been honored with awards for our innovation. And we have preferred partnerships with notable players. So let's get into today's agenda. And the goal of today is that we want you to be able to leave with strong takeaways on how you can improve the return on investment of your creator content starting today. And so we're also going to stop and ask some questions and polls. So I'll let you know when we are going to do that because we want to hear from you and understand more about what your journey has looked like. So today what we're going to cover is we're going to just explore why brands are working with creators, how you can turn creators into a scalable growth channel, 3 innovative ways to leverage creator content, and some key takeaways that you can implement into your marketing plans today. So firstly, why do brands work with creators? And so we're going to turn the table on this chat, and I appreciate how active everybody already has been, so hopefully you continue to be active. So let us know both intangible and tangible reasons. Why don't you enter into the chat why you're currently working with brands or with creators today? Okay, I like to see the typing to reach a bigger audience. Increase brand awareness, a lot of brand awareness. Brand stories, it's a good one. Authenticity, diversity, amazing. Mobile, credibility. Yeah, they do reach a target market well. So these are all great reasons and reasons that we're seeing that brands are investing in creators. What is interesting is that not a lot of people said sales. And actually, that is what Influencer Marketing Hub found was the number one reason people are using creators is that they help drive sales. And in a recent study that they did, they saw that for every dollar spent on influencer marketing, on average, the brand expected a return of $18, which is incredibly high. And these returns do fall on the higher end of the spectrum since there's so many different verticals. But even when you remove the outliers and look at returns across the board, you see a relatively high average return of $5.20, which is really high. And so across all marketing channels, the majority of marketers are now saying that they believe creator marketing offers their highest return of investment. So how do we make that return of investment even higher? And let's first talk, though, about how creators are able to drive performance. And a lot of those things were mentioned here in this chat. And I think that then helps understand, when you understand how they can drive performance, you can also understand where else you can use them in your marketing funnel. So firstly, creators build trust for brands. And in a study that we did, we saw that 74% said that they trust what creators say about brands more than what a brand says about themselves. And 67% said that they would be more likely to be persuaded by ads featuring creators. So I think this is really important to know when you're thinking about your brand building, your brand awareness, your product introductions, that they are building trust for your brand in a way that brands can't do by themselves. Creators also add real life context. And this Think with Google study I thought was really interesting because they saw that across mediums and ad placements, that when you feature people, your ad performs 30% better for a campaign goal, regardless of what that goal was, versus images that don't. And so creators are adding that real life context that helps with brand performance. So for an example, an image of your product is good, but an image featuring people that are using the product, enjoying it, interacting with it is better. And that makes sense. You see this piece of pizza or this pizza here, and you think that looks like good pizza. You know, I like that image. But the image with the family, I can envision myself as part of that experience. It evokes emotion. It paints a picture of how that product is brought to life. And now I'm thinking about how it fits in my own life. So it would make sense that across mediums, featuring people would perform better. And that's exactly what creators are good at. So if content featuring people perform better across all mediums and ad placements, then you start to think about how much value creators can offer outside of the social feed. In that same Think with Google study, they also found that 64% of consumers took action after seeing an ad. And that action could be to click on an ad, to visit a website, to add to cart, to sign up. They took some kind of action after seeing an ad that they considered to be diverse and inclusive, because people want to see themselves represented and they want to view different perspectives. And so another thing creators are really good at is relating to people and telling their story. And that's another benefit that you can add to a larger marketing plan. And finally, creator content performs. So in a meta-analysis that we did, we studied 70 brands, over 200 creators, over 350 content pieces with 30,000 respondents. And what we found is that when running creator ads versus brand ads, we saw them to be 2 times more credible, 2 times more relatable, 2 times more realistic, and almost 2 times more authentic. And these attributes here are all goals brands often quote are important metrics for brand building and reasons they invest in creators. However, what I thought was really interesting and something to note is that when we looked into this further, we saw that these attributes are actually drivers of more tangible business goals. So when we looked into this further, we saw that authenticity was a driver of message association, that they understood what that message meant and that they associated with it. Relatability was a driver of favorability, more likely to be favorable to your ad or to your product. And realism was a driver to stop and look at an ad. And credibility was a driver of purchases. So these associations are drivers of real business goals and repeatable outcomes. But most marketers are using creators for organic posting and stopping there. And the issue is with the ever-changing algorithms, that limits your viewership if you're relying on that organic reach. And as we see from a lot of cases today, the creators can have a lot of benefit outside of the social feed. So how can you scale creator benefits all the way down the sales funnel? And it starts with planning how you can extend the lifespan of your content. You can drive extended exposure and value with digital rights. And if a creator is producing high quality and beautiful content for you, then you can work with a creator to plan from the beginning where you want to use that content so that you can negotiate those rights up front and you can budget and plan for that content, since you'll likely need variations of that content for different ad placements. And really, the sky's the limit in how you can use creator content. But you think, if this image is impactful on social, could it also be impactful in print, on your website, in display? There's so many ways that you can drive that impact with this content if you're already working with them to produce it. And when thinking about digital rights, it allows you to maximize your investment instead of just relying on that reach that you're going to have on social. And this all boils down to turning creators into a scalable growth channel. And so 93% of marketers are now saying that they work with creators to post organically on their feed, which is great. And then what we're seeing more of is that more and more brands are using creator licensing, which is an incredible strategy of using that content and running paid social through a creator's handle, because you can then leverage that human connection and trust that the creator is bringing, that a lot of people noted that they wanted to tap into. But it doesn't need to stop there. You can then continue to scale this growth depending on which medium you want to invest in. And really, it's limitless options. But what we're going to focus on today is programmatic, because it is an easy next step where you can combine that engaging experience of social with the reach of programmatic, so that you can target and retarget and bring people closer to that end business goal of what you're looking to drive. So before we move on to Megan, as she talks more on how we do this, I would like to turn it over to a poll. So in the bottom right hand, there's a poll there, and I would love to hear from everybody. Yes, we will absolutely share the deck after this call in addition to the recording, if you want to share with your teams as well. And so we're going to do a quick poll because I'd love to know from you how you're using creators in your marketing mix. Are you using them to post organically? Are you also using creator licensing, which is also known as running paid on social or whitelisting? Are you using them for programmatic ads, or are you not using creators yet? So we'll give you a minute to enter in your answers. You can click as many as you are using. So Megan, I'll turn to you when you've gotten enough answers and you want to continue.
Yeah, I'm just going to let a few roll in. All right.
Yes, press submit or send afterwards. That's cool.
Okay. I think B2B or B2C.
Yeah, especially with programmatic. I think that is one way, because B2B can sometimes be very challenging when working with creators, but we'll go through different programmatic placements that can work in both those verticals or both those categories.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good amount of answers now.
Okay.
So it's looking like about 50% are using organic posting, 35%-ish are using creator licensing. A few people said that they're not using creators right now, and there are a couple people using programmatic ads with creators. So that's really exciting that there are some people already taking those steps. But across the board, using creators through the organic posting, for those who have maybe expanded into creator licensing, that's really exciting. But hopefully at the end of this call, you're going to be able to leave with some more tangible ways to use your creator content. So starting off, just looking at the full funnel, there are so many ways that you can pair social and programmatic to extend your reach. So just taking a look at the funnel from the very beginning, the upper funnel tactic here would be organic posting. So this is what it seems like majority of people on this call are already doing. And this is just, creators posting to their feeds. You can use micro to mid creators to connect with more niche audiences, or potentially using macro or celebrity level creators to get the most organic reach possible. And then stepping one step down into that mid funnel area, this is where we would start to include creator licensing. So this is using creator handles for your advertising. We can use target demographics, interests, and really put your message in front of the right people. And a reminder I want to just have here is that you don't have to only use your creator content where it was originally posted. Something like digital rights can help you expand that even at this stage of the funnel. You can repurpose Reels as Snapchat videos or TikToks as YouTube Shorts. So there's even so many more possibilities here than a lot of marketers are using. But taking it one step further into the low funnel area, this is where programmatic can really come into play. So we can use the social or creator content off of social platforms and find channels where these low funnel tactics really thrive, but using content that your audience is already engaging with. This can help you break through ad blindness, and it can bring social to users wherever they are, which is a great way to start testing what really helps your ideal customer profile convert. And at the end of the day, this is going to just get you closer to cart. So now how do we move people through the funnel? I'm sure that, especially in the social world, we've all heard about retargeting strategies, but there's really exciting ways to use this with the programmatic mix as well. So just looking at this chart on the right-hand side of the screen, I know it's a little bit small writing, but the first column is prospecting ads and the second column is retargeting ads. So these are just an example from a campaign that was using display ads. The first section is the cost per acquisition, or CPA. In the prospecting phase of this campaign, the CPA was over $220, so fairly expensive. And then in retargeting, it drops right off to about $2. So getting much more qualified people through to that retargeting audience lowers your cost per acquisition a lot. Then in the next row, we can see the conversion rate, CR. In prospecting, it was really low, just over 1%. And then a huge, huge increase here to the conversion rate going up to almost 75% with a retargeting audience. And lastly, our ER or engagement rate on display was sitting at about 28% on prospecting, still really strong engagement rate for this example, but we were still able to see an increase to 48% with the retargeting audiences. So even though your retargeting audiences will likely get significantly smaller as you move them through the funnel, you can see that there are really great results from combining these together. So through all of the stages of the funnel, retargeting is going to be super important. And when we're looking at social platforms, using a pixel such as the Meta Pixel can, of course, help you with retargeting and custom audiences, but it can also help you with more accurate reporting so that you really understand what is working best. And then looking at the programmatic side of things, when you use something like a universal pixel, you'll capture traffic from your social campaigns that you can use in programmatic buys, which means you'll move the most qualified users through your funnel. So what this can help you do is boost your ROI. Retargeted ads average a click-through rate of 10 times higher than prospecting display ads. You can increase your brand revenue and new customer acquisition by 33%. And we've also found that people who visit a website after having clicked on a retargeting ad are 8 times cheaper per click. So really strong results when you include retargeting in these strategies. So now let's get into the actual tangible ways that you can use this in your marketing mix. So these are just 3 examples. There are tons and tons of examples of how you can use creator marketing outside of social, but we're going to focus on these 3. So we've got social display, interactive ads, and in-game. And so we're going to stop and do another really quick poll here. And we just want to know if there's anyone on the call today using any of these options. So whether you're using them in your creator ads or your branded ads, or if you're not using them, we'll throw another poll up. And we just want to see if you're using any of these.
And Susie, I agree. I think that people do leave a lot on the table, and there's so many options, as you mentioned, e-com, product shots, behind the scenes footage. Those are great examples. And Liz, that's awesome that you're using it on your website and catalogs. I think that's a huge opportunity that is often missed.
Okay, I'm going to let a few more votes roll in. Okay, some of these results they're surprising me a little bit, but really exciting. It's more even than I was thinking it was going to be. Okay, I'll let people keep answering, but where we're sitting right now is that about 40% are not using these tactics currently. 40% are using them for branded and 20% with creators. So again, I'm very excited that people are already considering creators in these, but for anyone who's not using it yet, let's dive into these a little bit deeper. So we will start with social display. So social display essentially is taking your content from social media and running it across websites, either desktop or mobile, in display ads. So these ads will still look just like your social posts, but you're able to put them in a much larger area of buys. So I'm sure we all know that social media has been shown to increase our dopamine levels, which is the chemical in your brain that makes you happy. So when we combine this socially inspired, highly effective creative with the efficiencies and scales of programmatic, you can extend your reach in a huge way. Because these take the visual cues from social media, and we've all been conditioned to feel happiness when we see those cues, you can combat your banner blindness and drive higher results. And then when you combine that even further with the effectiveness of creator content, you can have a really winning combination. Another really exciting thing about social display is that you can have engagements like you would on social. So not only are you able to see likes, comments, shares, but people can actually interact with the ads in those ways as well. Plus, you're able to track more advanced metrics because it's a programmatic buy. So there are just some more advanced reporting tactics that you can use. So when we are looking at social display, we can increase performance here in a really significant way. So you can combine these tactics to imitate the look and feel of social posts from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, and there are proven increases here. Brands can typically expect to see an increased click-through rate of 25%, 23% more efficient cost per clicks, and a more efficient CPA. So at the end of the day, these tactics are helping you get to your end user and helping you get to your final goal of converting. So we can take a look at a real life example here. So this was a client who was in the pet space, the pet supply vertical. And they came to us with the objective of wanting to increase their interactions with the brand measured through CPMs. They were looking for increased impressions. And they also wanted to drive more users to their Amazon storefront. So the solution was that we repurposed their already top performing Meta and TikTok content for social display ads to engage with users across multiple touch points. And we saw some really amazing key outcomes from this campaign. So first, when comparing a Meta, TikTok, and social display campaign versus a campaign that was only running on Meta and TikTok, the CPM was 59% more efficient. So a huge win there. The same comparison, we saw 19% more clicks, and our cost per click was only 63 cents across that campaign. When we look at that compared to the hashtag paid benchmark of similar campaigns, it's $1.04, so almost a 40-cent decrease in per click. That is huge savings. And then also looking at the click-through rate in that same comparison, the hashtag paid benchmark is 1.01, and we achieved 1.37. So increased all of our results and decreased all of the cost per result. So what are the benefits of using creators on social display ads? We've already talked through a few, but to wrap it up nicely, we have high quality and trustworthy content. It's an extremely easily transferable format. You already have this content from creators. As we saw, a lot of you are already working with creators in your social feeds. So you already have this, and there's a really low barrier to start using social display ads. You can combat banner blindness with your social media cues. As we mentioned, it allows people to actually engage with those posts in a new area, and they are just used to seeing those likes, comment, share buttons, so you can get higher engagement on your ads. Another call is that this is really ideal for sensitive categories, things like pharma, cannabis, politics, because there are much fewer restrictions for programmatic buys, as we're seeing on some social platforms. And last but definitely not least, you can track advanced engagement metrics. There's really exciting ways that you can track engagement through programmatic buys. And so this is a way for you to just track even more advanced metrics across your entire campaign.
Amazing. So as Megan mentioned, social display is an easy first step to get started, but interactive ads are another really interesting way that you can use programmatic ads. And what I love about it is it gamifies the experience because people love to click and engage and interact. And it's shown that gamification satisfies this fundamental human desire we have, which then increases your connection with an audience and their likeliness to engage. And so, taking from a lot of the principles that we're talking about, if you look at this interactive ad unit, by leveraging creators, we're now evoking that emotion. I see this family, they're cuddled up under a blanket, the aesthetic is beautiful, and I start to envision what that experience would be like in my own life. But then we have the limitless abilities to customize this experience so you can layer on product images where now I can click through and start to think of what color I might want or what size I might want or how that would fit in my space. So Instagram ads are great and they're a great way to use content, but they do have some limitations. And so when you use these custom interactive ad units, there are limitless ways on how you can customize that so that you can customize the experience and the user journey you want that person to have. And the great thing about creators is you can leverage a creator to create some custom assets for you to help make these interactive ad units. And they're typically a fraction of the cost of your creative agency. And so I'm going to show you a couple of other ways and how you can use creators in interactive ad units. But again, the beauty is you can really customize these in however you need to based off of what your product or service is and what you want somebody to do. But here are another two examples because I love examples. It helps visualize like how this looks. And so here's another example of a carousel. That last ad was a carousel. And so you can see how you can take this Instagram video or post and easily turn this into a carousel ad. So you get the benefit of that creator experience. They're building trust with testimonials. They're showcasing how you can use that product. And then you can overlay these product images to create an intuitive and engaging shopping experience. This is another ad called a hotspot ad. So again, you see from this Instagram post or ad to this. And now you can see many different experiences. And as you hover over the experiences, you can learn more about the product as it can expand, talk about what the product is and its benefits. And so now I'm getting both the lifestyle inspiration as well as more information on those tangible product benefits. And it's all contained to one experience. So what are the benefits of interactive ads with creators? You can pair creator content with that product information so that you get that all-in-one experience. It becomes this interactive shopping experience, which is much more engaging and dynamic for your consumer. You can that lifestyle inspiration can motivate purchases. And as Megan talked about, you've got that advanced reporting and metrics that can see how this is driving impact for your brand. And then we're going to talk about in-game. And I find this medium really exciting. And it's becoming one of the fastest growing entertainment verticals, as well as one of the fastest growing marketing channels. And what I think is so interesting is you can really customize the ad to look native to the experience, but you can use that lifestyle content, that creator content, and pair your images and taglines so that you really stand out while fitting in. And here are 3 things that I think you should know about one of the fastest growing marketing channels. 1, big brands are using it. Gaming marketing is now used by brands worldwide, from Gucci to Louis Vuitton, Adidas, Nike, KFC, Samsung, HBO. All these verticals are realizing the benefit of in-game branding because it's an unstoppable message. It's integrated natively into the experience. And no one likes disruptive ads, but this allows you to be integrated into the ecosystem and cut through the clutter and increase your brand relevance. And then there's no way to block your ad because you're part of it. Gaming is actually no longer for kids. And this was a bias that I had. I assumed that people that were advertising in gaming had a clear market and they were targeting, teens, maybe people in their 20s. But that's no longer the case. 69% of the US population play games, and it's almost a 50-50 split between males and females, and really quite even across all age demos. So regardless of who your demo is, they're playing games. And there's a way to target them specifically so only they see your ads. And gaming also has easily measurable effects. Because it has such precise targeting, and then also you can measure key performance indicators like visibility rate and video completion, it allows you to measure your success with confidence. So I'm going to talk about a Levi's case study. And Levi's wanted to use in-game advertising to increase its awareness for the 501 genes. And as you can see from the creative they use, they're featuring a person to showcase how that product looks, how it's styled, and then you can get the feel of how that product would be brought to life versus just showing the genes on its own. And so this is what you can use creators for. And then they leveraged their logo and tagline so that they could make sure that they're driving recall and that brand recall because they need to make sure that they're standing out within this game environment. And the results were really great. They saw 4% increase in brand awareness, 6% increase in brand consideration, and 64% of people exposed to the campaign took an action, which included visiting Levi's website or making a purchase. So these non-disruptive in-game ads complement the gaming environment perfectly because you notice the brand without it interrupting the experience. So what are the benefits of creators and in-game ads? You can relate to and inspire an audience with creator lifestyle content. They're producing great lifestyle content already, and if you brief them early, you can get them to customize things that are maybe a little bit more product forward, but then your ad's essentially done. You can layer on logos and taglines, which is an easy thing to do, which then can help to increase your brand recall. You naturally integrate with no way to block the ad, and you do have that advanced reporting available to you. So how do you act on this? First, develop long-term relationships with creators. And what I've seen over the past decade is a lot of times brands worry that they're going to hit a ceiling when working with a creator because they are just thinking about their organic reach. But when you start to think about them as a scalable growth channel, then you can really start to invest into creators that are passionate about your brand, understand your brand ethos, create beautiful content, get your branding, because then you can really invest into those creators and scale them without necessarily having to work with hundreds and hundreds of creators. And if you develop long-term relationships with creators, then you're investing in them and they're more likely to invest in you. Brief creators to build content for each stage in the funnel. So really think about how you are going to want to activate these across your channels early, because then you can get them to, in the same photo shoot or video shoot, customize certain assets that you might need, because you may need slightly different content for an organic post versus an in-game versus your interactive ad units versus, other people have mentioned display, websites, catalogs. So if you brief them early, they can really think about how they are going to create those assets, and you're not having to pay them separately or individually. You can get them to create that all at once, which is great for efficiency when you're thinking about production. And then ask creators for these digital rights to extend the lifespan of your content. It is important for them to know where it's going and how you're being used and to pay them fairly for it. But if you have this conversation up front, it becomes a really engaging dialogue versus going to them after the fact and asking for it later. So we talked a lot about a lot of things today. As I mentioned, we will be sending the recording afterwards. But here are 5 key takeaways to remember. First, think of creators like a one-person media company. They can be your creative strategy, your production, and your distribution. And when you think about them that way, you're really going to maximize that ROI on that content. Social display is an easy first step. So it's similar content, fast turnaround, and turnkey distribution. Interactive ads can gamify a shopping experience and make for a really more robust and dynamic experience. And in-game is not just for kids. Big brands are using it because of its high relevance and the ability to integrate into the ecosystem with no way to block your ad. So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to questions. There were some questions at the beginning, and if people have any further questions, we would love to stick around and answer them. And as well, if you did have further questions that you don't want to put in the chat, but you want either to discuss or you need help getting started or just generally want to consult with somebody for your 2023 strategy, please do reach out. We'd be happy to answer. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And we do have a managed service team who can strategize and execute on any of these tactics as part of your creative marketing strategy. So turning it over to the group. A lot of thank yous. Thank you. So tactically, what's the best way to run programmatic retargeting ads from creator social display ads? Megan, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think that as you start testing out these new tactics, and so let's talk specifically social display in this example, I would include prospecting and retargeting from the beginning so that you can see how it performs with this new tactic. I think for different brands, it will work better to take retargeting audiences from social and show them programmatic ads, but there may be some brands that it works best the other way, where you show them a prospecting ad, more an upper funnel tactic with social display, and then you retarget them on social. So I wouldn't think of each of those tactics being social or programmatic as either for awareness or retargeting. I would include both strategies across both of them.
Megan, do you want to answer this one too?
Yeah, sure. So so whitelisting, we call creator licensing. And so that is my main focus. That is what I spend most of my day doing. So I have lots of thoughts on it and I obviously love it. I think that it's a great way for brands to extend the reach of creator content. So I'm just trying to think of a way to concisely share all of my thoughts. But I think that best practices is definitely to include creator licensing or whitelisting wherever you can. Although getting creators to post organically definitely has its place, being able to target really specific locations or interests is a really great way to make that creator content work even better for you. And then as far as best practices go, I think that, generally speaking, there are some best practices of just using like correct rights, making sure that you're working with creators who understand your branding. But then any further kind of best practices, I would love if you want to reach out and chat more about a specific case, because I think platform to platform, there's different best practices, or even vertical to vertical. So it can get a little trickier going any deeper than that. And I don't want to talk for another hour of all the best practices I can think of.
Okay. What are some recommended best practices? Sorry, this was one of my first ones. What are some upcoming lives? I'm not sure what that means. But recommended best practices for companies just jumping into influencers. So, Megan, any recommendations on how people get started?
Yeah, I think first, just in case this is maybe what you're meaning about upcoming live streams. So you can look at bank notes on hashtag paid, and you will share any other upcoming webinars there. Also, now that you've signed up for this one, we can definitely reach out. If you want to reach out, Ashley's email is on the screen there, and we can share any with you that are going to be most relevant for what you're looking for. But for best practices for people just jumping in, I would say testing is the biggest thing. I'm sure even with branded social ads, we all can understand that not the same thing is going to work for everybody. And so being really open to testing and potentially putting a portion of your creator budget aside to test different creators, different messaging types, different types of content, whether that's static, carousels, videos, things like that is really important. So yeah, I would just definitely go into this with a testing mindset if you're just jumping in.
I see Anthony's typing. Not to put pressure on you, Anthony.
Oh, we have a couple typers now.
We have a few typers. Yeah, they felt bad. Thanks, Liliane.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, oh, no, continue.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Anthony, for calling that out. Yes. There is an in-person event in Chicago. So if anybody's in the area, definitely come check it out and reach out if you want any more information about that.
Yeah, there are tickets to that. So if you are interested in coming to our event in Chicago, it's a really well-attended event called Meet the Creators, where we bring some of the best creators in the market, or the most innovative creators, as well as a lot of brands, to have an evening of free drinks and food and activations. I believe actually we're going to have a lot of sports players at this one. We've got some athletes from the Bulls and another brand. I'm obviously not a sports fan, but it's going to be a really fun event. It's pretty great. Blackhawks. Okay, thank you, Anthony. And some awesome brands will be there. So if anybody would like tickets, I think we're getting low, but please reach out to me, and we can see if we can get some for you and your teams. And if anybody else has any other questions, as I mentioned, maybe if you think about it afterwards, we are going to be sending a link to, is there a link to that event, or the Chicago one? I don't have it on hand. I don't know, Anthony, you might have it on hand. If you email me, I can get it for you. And Leslie wanted to know, before we leave, more questions actually, Meg, do you know the approximate reach impressions you can get for in-gaming tactic? I mean, I imagine it would just be based on budget. I don't think that there's a limit, but.
Yeah, definitely based on budget. The CPMs that are kind of standard in that type of advertising obviously really depend on who you're targeting and your budget. I don't know an exact number for like total unique impressions if you had no targeting, but the CPM that you can typically expect is in the $5 to $15 range. So fairly comparable with other social channels.
And Olivia just posted our Meet the Creators event. So if you want to know more about that, or you are in Chicago, or you have teams in Chicago, I really recommend going on the landing page as well. There should be a video to our last one in LA. It's quite the event. It's pretty cool. Okay, so we'll wrap up because we're getting to 1:45. But if you do have any other questions, or you do have more questions for myself or Megan, or want to talk about your 2023 strategy, or you're looking for a tool to invest in to help internally, please do reach out. We would love to chat with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And we will send the recording as well for the people that asked. Thanks, everyone.